Good evening, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It's Wednesday night, which of course means it's match preview showtime, and it doesn't come much tougher than this Saturday as we host high-flying Port Vale. They are currently sitting at the summit of League Two, having taken 16 points from the last 18 available, which we'll get to shortly. I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by a special guest for this evening's episode, and that is Steve Haydon. I'll put his details in the description at the bottom of this video, and he is part of the brilliant Ale the Vale Podcast. Their Twitter handle is down there as well, so go and give him a follow, go and give them a follow as well for all the Port Vale perspective before, during and after the game. Steve, first of all, appreciate you coming on, mate. You are at work at the moment, so I appreciate your time. It's been a good run recently, I think it's fair to say. Polar opposite of us.
Yeah, we are on a very, very good run. And to be honest, we're playing pretty well as well. We just started off the season a bit shakily, and then we had Jaden Stockley, who joined us and wasn't fully fit. And since he's been playing, he makes a massive difference to our team.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple of, obviously we went down last year, and last year we played well in games, and we conceded in the last minute to like a ball bobbling off somebody else's arse. You know, like the typical relegation fodder teams look. This year it's gone the other way. I mean, against Wimbledon last Saturday, they came back at us really hard. In the last minute, Ripley made an amazing save, the underside of the crossbar. We're on the type of run you get when you're top of the league, compared to last year when we were at the bottom where everything went against us. But no, we're doing well. We have got a few injuries at the moment this week, so it'll be interesting to see what sort of team we can put out. But no, we're doing well. We can't complain.
No, absolutely not. And just to look at that form in the last six, it was a draw against Colchester at home, and that's been followed by 5 wins. Notts County 1-0, MK Dons the same scoreline, Fleetwood 3-1, Harrogate 1-0 again, Port Vale 3-2 last weekend. So like we say, 16 points from 18. You can't ask for much more. It's as close to perfect without being it. And you're currently top of the league with 30 points from your first 14 games. Gills, completely the opposite.
Yeah, the game we drew against Colchester, the Cowley brothers and their type of football, they just stink out the entire of the league. And any club we always seem to come up against them, and they are the worst culprits of anti-football I've ever seen. And they're a disgraceful pair. I don't care what anybody says, but that's for another day.
Fair enough. If it gets results, you don't care, do you? But when you're coming up against it, it's probably the nicest football.
I don't reckon that, I'm no purist by any, but them pair, you will soon be bored of their style of football, even if you're winning every week. You couldn't stand it so long. It'd drive you mental, rolling around after 5 minutes, 15 minutes. And everywhere they've been, even when they're at Portsmouth and they had a load of money, they still played it the same way. But that's my Danny Cowley rant over with, sorry.
No problem at all. We love a tangent on this show. It's absolutely fine. Like I say, Gills, the peak polar opposite of Port Vale's form at the moment. It's defeats against Grimsby, Crewe, Accrington, Bradford and Newport County. That losing streak was finally snapped, but it still felt like a loss having played against Swindon. For 81 minutes with 10 men and taking the lead, we managed to concede at injury time. So it's 1 point from the last 18 available for Mark Bonner's men. And we currently sit with 20 points in 11th position. Haven't been top of the league on the 28th of September. It is some come down for Gills fans at the moment. But I want to talk to you, Steve, about Darren Moore. I think it's fair to say that he comes into League Two with a lot of pedigree, higher up. I mean, he was managing West Brom in the Premier League, albeit on a caretaker basis, not too long ago. He then done well at Doncaster Rovers. He did well at Sheffield Wednesday in the division above, which was the division that you were in when he came in February the 13th. It's fair to say that it didn't quite go to plan. Played 17, won 2, drew 4, lost 11, only scored 11 and conceded 29 from when he arrived to the relegation at the end of last season. 10 blanks in that time and only 5 clean sheets. But you've already mentioned negligence off the pitch. So was it a case of Darren Moore was just coming in to essentially just size up the squad before an assault on promotion in League Two, or was there still enough games at the time for a chance of being safe?
There's 2 real schools of thought on this. The first one is he was on a hiding to nothing. The second one is that he should have done better. I fall firmly into the second camp. Our team was crap last year, but the league wasn't particularly good. Now, whatever you are, Darren Moore with all his pedigree, he should have improved us a bit. The players we had, he should be able to get more out, and he didn't. he didn't.
Okay.
But what you will say was he was very careful with his. He was very noisy in the office. He was very careful with what he said about the players on the ring down, and he didn't chuck them under a bus. But the proof is in the pudding has been that as soon as we could, we ripped it up and started again in the summer, and we have got a far stronger squad now than we ever had last year.
Yeah, and looking at that recruitment, obviously in the summer, which was so now he's got no excuse. It's his players, it's his team, it's his system.
He has to get us promoted, because if he doesn't, with the way the club have backed him to, there's a lot of criticism of the club that they didn't back the last manager, and I think that's fair enough. We had a big falling out with our former director of football, David the Process Flitcroft, and the club took some stick for lack of recruitment last year and lack of backing. This year, he has had everything he's wanted. Even this week, we've got a couple of injuries, and we've signed a lad from West Brom. Well, who's just been released by West Brom. Okay. This time last year, we'd waited 14 weeks and still not signed anybody. We're proactive, and we're spending money. So for him as well to come to Port Vale is a big coup, because obviously he's been about, he's a player. So for him to drop down to League Two was a bit of a risk, and he must have known that if we went down, he'd get the backing to go back up, because if he fails at Vale with the money he spent, I'm not sure where's he go. There's nowhere else low to go. But I wasn't over enamored with him last season, but this season, with his own team, with the pre-season behind him, he is doing a cracking job. He makes substitutions that none of us can understand, but we're winning games. So he's obviously right. He's a manager, so we just sit there and watch. But yeah, he's getting a connection with the fans as well. We're a typical northern club. We like we like passion. We like it a bit rough. To quote Tony Pulis from Stoke, we're a working class area, and he's connecting with the fans now. So it's all going very, very well, I have to say.
Yeah, I think that applies to most fans, to be honest, just Northern in this level, because I think if you get players that want to play for the badge and to run through brick walls, then they'll get backed. But yeah, that backing came in the forms of just a few names: Jayden Stockley, Ronan Curtis, Ryan Crosdale, Lauren Tillage, I want to speak about in a little bit more detail. And I think the standout was probably George Byers, which was a ridiculous addition from the level. There's been some clever loans from Premier League and Championship sides as well. And yeah, like you said, proof is in the pudding. 14 league games this season. It's the polar opposite of what it was when he first came in. 9 wins, 3 draws, only been beaten twice, scoring freely with 23 in the first 14 and conceded 15. It's only about 1 a game, which is not awful by any means if you're free scoring at the other end, and 30 points already. And we spoke about too many blanks and not enough clean sheets last season. Well, it's only 2 blanks and 6 clean sheets already this. So complete contrast is what I've written around. I want to talk about Lauren Tillage, because he was a player that I had in a potential targets video for Gills back in the summer, Steve. Coming out of National League, had done well at Aldershot, I think it was last season. Got 10 appearances in the league this year, 9 starts. He's got 2 goals and 4 assists already, which I think is brilliant considering he's stepping up. But just how good has he been, and what does he bring to Port Vale?
Well, Talai, as he's called, as we've now learned, how he likes his name pronounced. He's an odd one because he's not actually playing up front. Vale play a front 3, and he's played wider Stockley on one side, or he's played Justin behind him. He has got a bit about him. He's got a bit of devil in him, for one, which you need. He can be a mixed bag. Sometimes he's got a first touch like a trampoline, and then the next time he'll bring it down like a prime Zidane in scoring. But he is doing very, very well. We spent money on 2 players of that ilk. One who came from Scotland, who we spent good money on, Rory Payton. He's had less of a chance than Talai, but they reckon we spent close on 500 grand on them pair in the summer in league, combined, and it's a lot of money. And for Talai not to be playing bang up front, it's something we didn't expect, because again, we bought Jayden Stockley, and Jayden Stockley is proven at League One level. So he is always going to play, because the way we set up what Jayden Stockley brings is amazing. So Talai's been kind of set at second fiddle, and he's been left out the last 2 or 3 games. But maybe he needed a rest. But he's doing well, and he's the type of player you think will go on and run and score goals. I mean, he scored a lot last year in the National League, and he was. What I liked about that recruitment was, in the past, we've been guilty signing any old Tom, Dick, and Harry with no no eye for the future. If he comes in and scores 20 goals, we can sign him on a profit. You know, we've done a lot better in every aspect of the game this last 9 months, and Talai is one of them. But the one you talk about, Byers is the one. Byers has only played 4 games for us because he actually broke his leg. But he is just, you know, you see you'll see it yourself. You'll see it thinking he should not be playing at this level. It's just, you know, they say he came here for the reason we all go to work for money. So good luck to him. But he's the best player in that league, in the league. I think George Byers. You know, when especially in that position.
We said the same about Bradley Dack coming back. Obviously, there's reasons why they're dropping into League Two. Yeah. Obviously, age, injury history, that type of thing. And we've only seen Dacky twice. Like, that's been 2 cameos, one in the trophy and one in, I think, the Barrow game. And then he's tweaked an hamstring again, unfortunately. So it looks like we're not really going to see loads of him before Christmas. But yeah, I mean, if you keep them people fit and they play half the league games, they're going to have a positive impact, aren't they? That's the thing, because they're just that good.
Yeah, I mean, Byers isn't even old. It's not like he's come for a payday either. It's crazy, really. He's the signing we made that made everyone think, Christ, these are properly. Him and Stockley are the ones you think, you know, they aren't playing at it these on, because you're going to have to pay them League One wages and Byers more than that, because the Sheffield Wednesday fans, I know a couple of them, they couldn't believe it that he'd come to League Two, and neither can we. But like I say, hopefully he's due to come. He's due to come back into the team in the next couple of weeks. So him playing well will be a major thing for us.
That's fine. Yeah, he can stay unavailable this Saturday.
He's unavailable this Saturday.
We need all the help we can get at the moment, to be fair. So
you are playing at a good time, injury wise.
We've had it all season as well, but it's just part of the game, isn't it? You
can't, it is.
argue with it, and that's the thing. If you've got a good squad and you've got good options and backups, then it doesn't affect you. And at the moment, it's not affecting you. That's why you sit at the top of the table. One player that I think goes under the radar, and I think that's a general rule, is always your goalkeepers. They only ever get sort of in the press or into people's eyesight and that type of thing if they make a mistake. But I noticed that along with the manager, Connor Ripley, 3 clean sheets in October, has been nominated for Player of the Month. Ironically, it was our goalkeeper that picked up Player of the Month in the previous month, September. So it's good to see that goalkeepers are getting recognised. Just how important is it, though, to have a very good and very reliable shot stopper in behind a back 3, back 4, back 5, whatever you play?
Yeah. We signed Ripley. I forget Fleetwood. No, Morecambe. We saw Ripley play 2 seasons ago for Morecambe against us when they went down, and he was the type of keeper you thought, God, he's what we need of real, because we've had some crap keepers over the past few years. We brought Connor in. He's got a lot of relegations on his CV, you have to say, but he's big. He's commanding. He looks the part, and he's a personality as well. He'll have a bit of banter with the fans to his cost at sometimes. But, you know, people get stuck into him and he gets stuck in back. But he's not universally liked, I have to say. Okay. Over the past, it's surprising. I'm a fan of his, but some people don't particularly. He's like the type of keeper. The best way to describe it is, the goals we concede are never his fault. But you always think, could he have done a bit more? Does that make sense? You know, we were conceding a lot of long range shots. Yeah. But over the past 4 or 5 weeks, he's been immense. You know, his distribution's good as well. He'll get it out fast. He's good at his feet. He's a big lad, and he's a personality. And I like him, but he's not as popular as you would think he would be.
Okay,
which is just football fans, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we're a fickle bunch, absolutely.
Oh, Christ, yeah.
Let's keep him in the world 1 week, and you want to sell him the next and drive him to his next club and that type of thing.
Yeah.
One final question I had, Steve, which was before we get into like the immediacy of team news and what your team might be and that type of thing, and the dreaded score prediction, was aims for the season. You've already answered that. Has to be automatic promotion. You said based on the budget, the recruitment, the squad available. There's no wiggle room for that at all. Like playoffs would be a failure.
Yeah, it would. There's not. You know, if we don't go up automatically, we've failed.
Fair enough. I just seconded in my 1 to 24s at the start of the season, and I was sitting there looking at it at the start and thinking, oh, they're letting me down. But at MK Dons, they were struggling to start. Both have picked up.
Yeah, they've come back. Yeah.
So I think they're both there or thereabouts, to be fair.
Yeah, we beat MK Dons a couple of weeks ago at their place, and it was more comfortable. It was a more comfortable 1-0 win than often they are. The best side we played this year, Doncaster. They hammered us at our place, but that was at the start of the season before we got going. But they were a handy side. Wimbledon aren't bad. AFC Wimbledon as well.
Yeah, I like Wimbledon. I think they've done well. I think Johnny Jackson's finally getting it right there with recruitment and the team as well. He's been there a few years now, so I think they'll be in and around the playoffs as well.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah.
So in terms of potential 11, and that was FA Cup last weekend, but so that was probably a case of rest and rotation, which a lot of clubs do. But in terms of from the previous league game, which was the 3-2 win against Wimbledon, to Saturday 3 o'clock, do we envisage much change, or is it a case of
the biggest problem is our entire central midfield is injured.
Okay.
Ben Garrity, our captain, who was easily an upper level championship player. He's been playing a lot deeper this season. Him and Ryan Croasdale have formed a very good partnership. We signed Croasdale, went up with Stockport last year. Him and Garrity have been playing since Byers got injured. They've been playing centrally, but they were both injured last Saturday, and Garrity certainly won't play against you guys. I'm not sure about Croasdale. We signed a lad from West Brom whose name escapes me temporarily, but I don't think he'll be match fit. So we went into the midfield. We went into the cup game with probably our fourth choice midfield, and that's where central midfield, and that's where we are very, very vulnerable.
Okay. I mean, we've had loads of injuries. We had Ethan Coleman didn't have a pre-season. He was our players' player.
It's a funny thing, though. We've got loads of options in every position apart from central midfield.
And that has to be the area where everyone goes.
Yeah, our front six, you could pick and choose any of those. And Stockley aside, there's not much in them. They've all similar levels of quality. We've been guilty in the past of having a first 11 and a 14th 11. Vale have, but this time, it's just in central midfield. Whether we've been a bit unlucky with Byers, whether we had a good youth team player called Reece Walters who played centre mid, but we seem to have fallen out with him, or he seems to have fallen out with us. So he won't play for us. We've offered him a contract, so he can't go elsewhere. So we were a man light. So it'll be interesting to see if Croasdale's fit. He will definitely play. But you'll probably have a midfield of Sang and Jason Lowe, that's not promotion winning midfield. Sang's been very good for us playing wing back and playing centre half. Jason Lowe's getting on a bit as actually right back. So, but the rest of the team we're pretty well stocked, and we're pretty all right fitness wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough test. We know that, like we say, based on our form and more importantly, your form at the moment. I haven't had a chance to look at previous meetings. I remember a few games in recent years where I think we've come out on top. But I'm not going to ask you to do a full 11. I'm not going to try and pick ours as well because of injuries and so many people that are doubtful. So, yeah, the final question before I let you go is the dreaded score prediction.
I think we'll probably win 1-0. We're pretty good at that away from home at the moment.
I was going to say that's got to be if you're a betting man, it has to be based on your last three. You've won them all by that scoreline,
yeah, and also as well, we're pretty good at controlling games now. We used to be very, very harem scarum, but we went to Harrogate, and honestly, it was like watching Real Madrid. Harrogate was so scared of us. I don't quite know why. They were letting us knock it about for fun. Wimbledon were quite the opposite. They got about us, and they did cause us some problems. So you don't want to stand off us. You want to go toe to toe with, which at home you'd expect you to do a bit more. But we have been resolute defensively. We do always look like scoring. We should have scored more in these 1-0 wins. We were perhaps a bit guilty of not taking chances, but I hate saying it about Vale because I've had my fingers burnt so many times before, but we are a decent side at the moment, and you can't get away from that.
No, absolutely not. And the numbers back it up as well, yeah. And we're struggling. I think we've only scored 3 in our last 6, and we've conceded 2 in 4 of them games as well. So it's complete opposite of what it was at the start of the season. I wrote down 2, and that was Head and Heart. Head says 1-0 Vale, and Heart says 1-1 draw. I don't think it would be a disaster for us at the moment, considering how poorly we've been playing, but it's been a rough trot, and let's hope it is no more than that. But like I've asked a couple of times, when does a rough trot become a crisis? That's the thing at the moment, which is on the lips of every Gills fan, is how long does this keep going before people start getting twitchy fingers and that start thing?
Yeah, we've had 3 seasons of bad runs becoming bigger crises. I mean, the last 12 months, bear in mind, we've got rid of the manager, director of football, an entire squad. We are very, very fortunate that our owners, whilst they've made plenty of mistakes, they are very committed to the club, and they've got a few quid. And they could easily have walked away from Vale,
Mhm.
at the back end of last year, but they've done well in businesses, and they've had a big investment in their own company, and they've been prepared to basically piss it up the wall at Vale, because we are incredibly lucky with our owners.
Yep.
They're invested in the club, the area, and the lot. And what you can't accuse them of doing is when the game gets tough, backing away. They've put their money where their mouth is, and if we deserve to go for anyone, we deserve to go for Carol Shanahan, because she took the flat last year, and she said we'd have a competitive budget. No one expected us to have I think we've got something like 30 odd professionals, and for a club that averages 6,000 people, that's not being paid for by the club breaking even, balancing its own books.
No.
I think probably the Shanahans are into 15 grand a week just to keep us afloat, and they don't blink. We are very, very lucky in that respect, and they're the best owners we've ever had, because we've had some shocking luck with, like a lot of clubs, really. We've had everything from Blake's threatening to close us down to mythical American 4G experts. But the Shanahans are good people, and if we do go up, it'd be really good for them. They deserve it.
Well, as always, after Saturday and the reverse fixture, I wish you all the best. But of course, I hope you're absolutely rubbish.
Guys, I hope you pull it round, and it's because it's a long slog, but you're not winning in League Two, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's not fun. It's not a fun league to try and get out. We all know that, and it's
less a hobby, more labour and love, isn't it?
I think it does become that. It feels like a chore at times as well, but we still turn up every week, don't we? Steve, it's been a real pleasure, mate. Appreciate your time. So thank you very much for coming on.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Gills fans and Port Vale fans, like I always say, if you're still watching at this point, then thank you very much. Please consider hitting that like button, and please keep clicking that subscribe button as we try to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the season. It's just free to do so, and it helps me keep bringing you content on a weekly basis, and I do not charge anyone to watch this. So all I can say is please do them two things. That is all I ask of you. Be back Saturday at the Priestfield for a match day live with myself, Ava, and all the gang. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week, and up the Gills.